I am reading The Midwife's Apprentice by Karen Cushman. This is chapter 1, The Dung Heap. When animal droppings and garbage and spoiled straw are piled up in a great heap, the rotting and molding give forth heat. Usually no one gets close enough to notice because of the stench. But the girl noticed, and on that frosty night, burrowed deep into the warm, rotting muck, heedless of the smell. In any event, the dung heap probably smelled a little worse than everything else in her life. The food scraps scavenged from the kitchen yards, the stables and sties she slept in when she could, and her own unwashed, unnourished, unloved, and unlovely body. How old she was hard to say. She was small and pale, with the frightened air of an ill-used child, but her scrawny, unfed body did give off a hint of a woman, so perhaps she was 12 or 13. No one knew for sure, at least of all the girl herself, who knew no home, no mother, and no name but Brat, and never had. Someone she assumed must have borne her and cared for her lest she toddle into the pond and changed her diapers when they reeked. But as long as she could remember, Brat had only lived on her own by what means she could, stealing an onion here or helping with the harvest there in exchange for a night on the stable floor. She took what she could from a village and moved on before the villagers with their rakes and sticks drove her away. Snug cottages and warm bread and mothers who hugged their babies were beyond her imagining. But dearly she would have loved to eat a turnip without the mud of the field still on it, or sleep in a barn fragrant with new hay, and not in the rank smell of pigs who fart when they eat too much. Tonight she settled for the warm rotting of a dung heap, where she dreamed of nothing, for she hoped for nothing and expected nothing. It was as cold and dark inside her as out in the frosty night. Morning brought rain to ease the cold, and the kick of a boot in Brat's belly. Hunger. Brat hated the hunger the most, or was it the cold? She knew only that hunger and cold cursed her life and kept her waking and walking and working for no other reason than to stop the pain. Dung beetle, smelly old dung beetle, sleeping in the dung. Boys in every village, there were boys teasing, taunting, pinching, kicking, always. They were the scrawniest or the ugliest or the dirtiest or the stupidest boys, picked on by everyone, with no one left uglier or stupider than they but her. And so they taunted and tormented her in every village, always. She closed her eyes. Hey boys, have off. You're mucking up the path and my new Spanish leather shoes. Away. And you, girl, are you alive or dead? Brat opened one eye. A woman was there. A woman. Neither old nor young, but in between. Neither fat nor thin, but in between. An important looking woman with a sharp nose and a sharp glance and a wimple starched into sharp pleats. Good, said the woman, you're not dead. No need to call the bailiff to cart you off. Now out of that heap and away. The fierce pain in her stomach made Brat bold. Please, may I have something to eat first? No beggars in this village. Away. Please, mistress, a little to eat. Those who don't work don't eat. Brat opened her other eye to show her eagerness and energy. I will work, mistress. I am stronger and smarter than I seem. Smart enough to use the heat from the dung heap, I see. What can you do? Anything, mistress, and I don't eat much. The woman's sharp nose smelled hunger, which she could use to her own greedy purpose. Get up then, girl. You do put me in the mind of a dung beetle, burrowing in that heap. Get up, beetle, and I may yet find something for you to do. So Brat, newly christened Beetle, got up, and the sharp lady found some work for her to do, and rewarded her with dry bread and half a mug of sour ale, which tasted so sweet to the girl that she slept in the dung heap another night, hoping for more work and more bread on the morrow. And there was more work, sweeping the lady's dirt floor, washing her linen in the stream, and carrying her bundles to those cottages where a new baby was expected. For the sharp lady was a midwife. Beetle soon acquired a new name, the midwife's apprentice, and a place to sleep that smelled much better than the dung heap, though it was much less warm. Chapter 2. The Cat. Beetle liked to watch the cat stretching in the sunshine, combing his belly with his tongue, chewing the burrs and stubble out from between his toes. She never dared get close, for she was afraid, but even from a distance could tell that there was a gleaming patch of white in the dusty orange of his fur, right below his chin. That one ear had taken a great bite out of it, and that his whiskers were cockeyed, going up on one side and down on the other, giving him a frisky, cheerful look. Sometimes she left bits of her bread or cheese near the fence post by the river where she first saw him, but not very often. For the midwife was generous only with the work she gave Beetle and stingy with rewards, and the girl was never overfed. Once she found a nest of baby mice who had frozen in the cold. She left them by the fence post for the cat. But her heart ached when she thought of the tiny hairless bodies in those strong jaws. She buried them deep in the dung heap and left the cat to do his own hunting. The taunting, pinching village boys bedeviled the cat as they did her, but he, quicker and smarter than they, always escaped. She did not, and suffered their pinching and poking and spitting in silence, lest her resistance inspire them to greater torments. Mostly she avoided them and everyone else, hiding when she could, scurrying along hidden, secret paths around the village, her head down and her shoulders hunched. One sunny morning, with stolen bread in her pocket for dinner and a bit of old cheese to share with the cat, Beetle started for the fence post. The boys were already there, holding the cat aloft by his tail. His hissing and screeching sounded like demons to Beetle, and she covered her ears. "Into the sack with him, Jack," cried one boy. "We'll see whether a cat can best an eel." And a sack with an eel, the cat was tossed into the pond. Beetle stayed hidden, more afraid to attract the taunts and torments of the boys than to lose the cat. After a time, the tumbling sack sank into the reedy water and all was still. "Oh, Jack, you are right. The eel took the cat right down." And the boy with the runny nose gave 2 apples to the boy with the broken teeth, and they all went back to the field. Beetle waited a long time before she came out of hiding and waded into the muddy pool. With a stick broken from the nearby willow, she searched through the reedy water, poking around the spot where the bag had gone down, working in bigger and bigger circles. Finally, near the edge of the pond, Half out of the water, she found the bag, now soggy and still. She dragged it out of the water and sat back on her heels and watched. No movement. She poked it with her stick. Nothing. Cat, she asked, are you drowned? I opened the sack and let you out, but I saw afraid of the eel. Cat? She kicked the bag with her dirty bare foot. Nothing. She left the bag and started back into the village, came back and left again, came back again. The devil take you, Cat, she cried. I'd be so afraid to open that sack, but I just can't let you be. Taking a sharp stone, she slit the bag and ran behind the tree, looking like the devil himself. A shiny brown eel slithered out and made for the pond, and the bag was still again. Beetle watched it. Nothing. She crept closer. Nothing. A sudden movement sent her scurrying back to the tree, and then nothing again. She crept up to the bag and found the scrawny, scruffy orange cat tangled in the soggy sack. Carefully, she untangled his limp body, lifted him out of the bag by his front legs. By cock and pie, Cat, I would have you live. Ripping a piece from the rag, she called her skirt. She wrapped him tightly and ran her secret hidden route to the village. She scooped a hole in the dung heap and laid the cat in it. If Beetle had known any prayers, she might have prayed for the cat. If she had known about the sweet, soft songs, she might have sung to him. If she would have known of kind, gentle words and cooing, she would have spoken to him gently, but all she knew was cursing. Damn you, cat, breathe and live, you flea-bitten sod, or I'll kill you myself. All the day the cat lay still in his cave in the dung heap. Beetle stole time from her chores and came often to see him, wrap her skirt more tightly around him, and make sure he still breathed. Twice she left little bits of cheese, but they were not eaten. When she checked again after supper, as the sun was setting and the mist rising, he was gone and the cheese with him. Nothing in the cave, nothing in the cave in the dung heap, but her bits of raggedy dress and a few threads from the sack, which he must have carefully combed from his fur before setting forth into the night. 2 days later, a holiday for the village. It was being Lady Day, but not for Beetle, for the midwife would not feed those who did not work, even on Lady Day. There was a cat sitting on the fence, licking his white patch to make it whiter still, waiting for Beetle and a bit of cheese. Finally, Beetle came, and they sat and ate their cheese together to celebrate Lady Day. And Beetle told him what she could remember of her life before they found each other and they fell asleep in the sun.